Hey, great Thursday evening, and it's crunch time. It is 9 o'clock. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. And let me say, I expected to start the show um, with a little bit more of an audience out here in regards to me not being the only one on here. Because I sent invites Maggie, Sam, everyone, and I think nobody wanted to come on because they didn't want to face Commissioner Roy de los Santos.
Maggie loves me. What are you talking about?
What the hell? She was supposed to be out here, man. I'm going like, what's up? And I they had a Reagan Lincoln luncheon.
Reagan
Something.
Lincoln luncheon. Interesting.
Yeah, it was a Reagan. With the first annual Reagan Lincoln luncheon. I think I got that right. I probably got it wrong,
Hmm.
but Governor Abbott was there, and so we all got invited. So we went, and had some plastic chicken, and you know how they always make that chipotle chicken and the vegetables and the
But did they
pasta.
serve jelly beans?
No, no jelly beans.
See,
They
as I
should have.
recall, Reagan was a big fan of jelly beans.
That would have been
They
key.
should have.
It should have, but it's trippy because have you noticed how at all these functions they always serve that pollo, chipotle pollo, uh,
Hmm.
vegetables, steamed vegetables, and the pasta.
A little pasta. That's the in thing now.
So, yeah, same thing, but this time the chicken had Chardonnay sauce, kind of a Chardonnay sauce, and I knew the. I mean, I tasted it and I'm like, this tastes a little bit like wine. Yes, there it was. I was tripping because I was thinking like, chinteras, with my luck, I'm gonna eat the damn chicken. I'm gonna get stuffed and I'm gonna get another DW.
No, you want? I'll tell you what. Good chicken. And I have not had a chance to get up there yet. But I've been with AT&T 23 years now, and I worked for in Harlingen for many, many years. There was a place called Terry's Que Pasta, and it closed years ago. But one of the guys who was in the kitchen, his name is Terry. He's now in the kitchen at a place called Station One in Harlingen. So
Station
he's
one.
only there during the week. But if you have a chance to get there, the thing to have is the pecan chicken.
Pecan chicken. Station one.
Station One. It's a chicken breast encrusted with pecans, served with a side of pasta. But the key to the dish is the sauce. It's a jalapeno brie sauce.
Gotta
It's
go.
amazing.
Gotta go.
I've got to go check it out. Yeah.
I gotta go. Well, you know, one of the things that's kind of trippy because I went to Sam's the other day
Hmm.
here in Brownsville. Because unlike Commissioner Santos, I stay local. But I went to I
You're
went to
international. What are you talking about local? Siempre andas en Mexico, en Colombia.
Egipto. Hey, I'm actually wearing one of the Egyptian dresses that I brought back
Very
from you.
good.
But I went to Sam's, and there's this huge ass line, and I'm going like, what the hell happened? You know, and they go like, we're here for the chicken, and we're like, it's just chicken, you know. But the people make a line to get some of that rotisserie chicken
Yep.
at Sam's,
Oh, yeah.
and I'm going, it's chicken.
Yeah,
But
but it's the spices and everything in the
I,
the bread.
have you tried the Sam's chicken?
I don't think I've had it at Sam's. I've had it at HEB. I've had it at Walmart. I think I've even had it from Stripes a couple of times.
I'm gonna go. One of these days, I'm actually going to go get in line to try that damn chicken. It was. I
And
mean,
they're usually pretty affordable, the rotisserie chickens.
well, it's something because the line was literally all the way from the back, all the way
Mhm.
up here to the front to the registers. And I'm going like, what the hell? You
Hmm.
know, maybe it's cheaper chicken,
I've
but
heard great things about the snack bar at Sam's. I've just
oh
never
yeah,
eaten it.
the snack bar is amazing. I haven't been there, but everyone's always packed. Joe Gallardo just says it's 4.99 a chicken. That's not
There you
bad,
go. That's very reasonable.
especially with the cost of everything else going on around
See,
here.
that's a meal and maybe some leftovers for chicken salad también.
Well, yeah, you know, 4.99. You can't get any combo anywhere for 4.99.
Exactly.
I mean, you go to Whataburger, you get a combo that's $9 or $8 or $9. I
Hmm.
went to get a Happy Meal at McDonald's, the kids Happy Meal, because I love the little pails.
Oh, that's right. I heard they brought those back for Halloween.
Yeah,
Awesome.
let me put the happy one. But
Very good.
for some reason, they don't have the green or the purple one. They only have the white one, which I'm going to have to talk to.
Which was the purple one?
I think they have three colors.
I know the green one was the witch and the orange one was the pumpkin.
Oh, maybe it was orange.
I think it's green
Maybe
and orange.
maybe I'm colorblind. But even that's 4.99, 4.97, something like that.
For a Happy Meal.
I'm
Yep.
gonna have to talk to Miss O'Quinn, my former friend Anna O'Quinn, in regards to why can't we get an orange and a green one? That's but I said, but thank you for coming on.
Of course.
And I did send invites, guys, to everyone else that comes on to see if they wanted to come on. It was not like we're going to have Mr. Santos on by ourselves. Everyone
No.
got an invite, so I don't know what happened. Uh, no one called in sick, so
Hopefully they'll pop in later. We'll see.
we'll see. Commissioner, there's so many things to talk about, but
Yes.
I think we're going to go into what I think you've figured out already. I'm not sure if you have what's on the mind of everyone out here. But let me go back. I'm not sure if y'all had privy information in regards to what was going to be on the audit. There was already a lot of little like whispering here and there. I got some. I got some numbers in regards to what was going to be on it. When you got the audit,
Hmm.
what was your sentiment? What were your feelings?
Oh, it's hard to describe because my initial reaction it's not gonna be popular to hear that. But honestly, in a way, it was relief because one of my biggest fears was that we would have something that did not dig deep enough and wouldn't have enough substance to it, and then the people wouldn't have faith in anything that it said. But when I looked at that, I felt no, this is telling it like it is. It's telling it like they saw it. It's based on what they saw, what they found, what they heard in their interviews, and I have full faith in the results thus far until someone can prove otherwise. I have every confidence in the findings of that. And it left me with more questions. There are things that I think can still be looked into further, that must still be looked into further. And I'm going to be putting together a set of questions to go to Car Rigs and Ingram. That'll be one of the next things I do. And I did ask the question early on, and I know we didn't make it public when we released the audit right away, but I had asked the question and had received confirmation that yes, it had gone to law enforcement, and including federal. And that was a top priority for me because I want it looked at by an unbiased set of eyes to make sure it's not just now a firm that did this audit because they were paid by the city of Brownsville. That's where this came from. But now we also have federal authorities. I know we saw the DA's office visited PUB as well, and I think it's appropriate that those agencies look at this and make their determinations. And if there is anything that warrants further action, I hope that they take it.
Yeah, and again, I've stated this publicly, and thank you again for sending the audit. You kept your word and said that you were going to be receiving it, and very proud. I didn't get a chance to read it that night when it was sent. It was sent to me right after the meeting that y'all had, and I appreciate that. I was just tired out that night, but I did wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to read the audit, and let me tell you, I I was very saddened. You
Hmm.
know, it was for me. It was kind of like a little pull, and I've shared this. It was kind of a pull because a lot of the stuff that we've been saying for years, and had screamed about for years in regards to, something's up, it's not right, it doesn't make sense. It was kind of like a little vindication, like, this negative guy was right, and it
Hmm.
wasn't just me. There was other individuals that were questioning it. It was a little bit of vindication, but it was really very, very, very disheartening, very, very disheartening,
Hmm.
because for a long, long time, a lot of individuals, and I feel bad for the individuals who actually had placed their trust in individuals that are mentioned in the report. We don't have to go into detail in regards to the names, But we know that the former mayor was mentioned, the CEO who is now on leave, and other individuals in management who have not been mentioned as of yet. And it was really disheartening because I really think, Commissioner, that a lot of folks out there, they wanted to believe the former mayor. They wanted to believe the PUB board. They wanted to believe that what was going on around us was just what was happening everywhere else, and
Hmm.
just grin and bear it. And we're going to have to weather this storm. But come to find out that that was not the case. That was not the case. Uh, One of the things that and we'll talk about this. Have y'all discussed uh, safeguards? Safeguards that can be, should be, will be implemented to make sure to guarantee that in the future this never happens again.
We have started to scratch the surface. Oh, there's Maggie. Awesome. We have started to scratch the surface on that at Osmo, but that's why the email I sent you today, one of the things in there is the PowerPoint presentation from Tuesday at the City Commission meeting.
Yes.
That's so important because, and I know a lot of people don't get it. Everybody's like, why isn't the commission doing something? Why isn't the commission doing something? We are almost powerless. If you read that, and this is the city charter, this isn't anything the commission has power over. This is something that has to be changed by a vote of the electorate, of the citizens of Brownsville, to make a change to this. And it's that, yes, we can appoint the PUB board, we have to approve the rates, but that doesn't mean we can set the rates at anything we want. It's like they vote on something, we ratify it. That's how it works. But as far as if we feel there's some wrongdoing anywhere or we're not satisfied with the actions, we're limited to removing one person maximum a year. And worse than that, it requires the vote of every single member of the commission. All seven must vote to remove. If one abstains, if one is absent, or if one votes no, you don't remove anybody. You have no power to do anything. It has to be unanimous. We know that's a huge problem because just the fact if you have people who have a conflict of interest who should not be voting on that, then right there you can't get your seven votes. That should not be the case. It shouldn't be that if you've got people with a conflict of interest, that's fine. Let them sit out. I don't mind still requiring a unanimous vote of the board members who can vote, but it should not require all seven when you've got the mayor who serves on both boards and when you have the possibility of conflicts of interest that could exist with others.
Well,
So then it's not going to happen?
It's not that it's not going to happen. It's that what needs to happen
where
is
we're
that
at
we have
now.
a charter amendment.
It's where we're at now. Where we're at
Where
now.
we're at now is and we have already talked about this, and that should be part of we've got a special meeting coming up on Monday and Tuesday, and that's part of freezing, putting a moratorium on disconnects, freezing the reconnection and late fees, putting all of that in place. So the city commission will be approving that first reading Monday, second reading Tuesday, and we'll be talking about putting together a charter review committee to come back with recommendations that we will look at. And if we can get it all in time for the May 2023 election, we will do that. If we're not quite there yet, then we will look at doing it a little bit later in the year. But because the state constitution or the state of Texas limits us, you can only have a charter amendment once every 2 years. We don't want to rush into it, do some things and realize, oh, you know what, we forgot something, because then we'd be stuck for 2 years. We'd have to wait to go back.
Well, let me ask you. I mean, you serve on several boards and have served on several other boards. Now that you're a commissioner, I mean, don't you think, like, what the hell was going through the mind of the individuals that added this to the charter?
I can see probably back then what was going through their minds, and they were short-sighted to some degree. I can see that you want the utility to be above politics and be independent, and that's why you don't want to have a majority of four can suddenly, and as the tides turn at the city commission with every election, guess what? Now we clean house and bring in all our own people. You don't want it to get political. So I respect that intention. However, they were short-sighted. They did not anticipate the possibility of conflicts of interest. They didn't look at the fact that if your mayor's on both boards, if there's a problem like this audit might lead some people to believe, or it seems to indicate that there were problems there with regard to the mayor, then that leaves you up a tree. If Tony Martinez were still the mayor today and he were implicated in this audit, does it make sense that he would be voting on something that comes before the commission on Tenasca? No, it doesn't. But since we need all 7 votes, that leaves us completely stranded without any hope.
Yeah.
So they were short-sighted, the planners, when they crafted this. This is the time to clean it up. We do not want to overcorrect. We don't want to create a situation where it can be politicized in the future. But safeguards clearly are needed. And it's not just about more oversight by the commission. It's also about internally at PUB, ensuring that you can't have a contractor who's giving you advice on something, or a consultant giving you advice on something, when they're also going to get a contract to do the work for somebody else on the back end. Because how unbiased and how objective can they be if it's to their interest for something to move forward?
Well, I want to. We appreciate that. Going back into, we had a word from uh, Mayor Martinez today, and again, I expressed where I think the sentiment of a lot of the individuals are today, and again, your feedback on it would be amazing.
I
Uh,
didn't hear the comment. What did he say today?
Commissioner Mayor Mendez went out and stated that they were going to work on the 22
Oh, Mendes. I thought you said Martinez. I'm sorry. I
Mendez.
thought the former mayor made a
No,
statement.
no,
Okay.
he made a statement to Telemundo, which I thought was amazing that he would do that anyway. Where he goes out and says like, well, PUB should keep the money, keep y'all's money. I'm going like, yeah, bitch, like we trusted him before. You think we want to trust him again with the money? But anyway, but Mayor Mendez came out with a statement, and I went out there and stated, that they're going to fast track the 22%, and I'm going to share with you what I truly believe is a sentiment of everyone out there. It's not enough. I think what people want restitution,
Of
and,
course.
and by restitution, I mean we want to go back 42%, and back to where it was back then. And it may sound like, oh well, that's a little bit unrealistical, but because it would have probably gone up maybe in the past 10 years anyway. But I don't think a lot of us care,
But
because
was there a 42% raise
uh,
because of for Tenasca?
it was 36, and then there's towards the last it went up to 41 point something. Maggie?
Let me ask you this. I've been meaning to ask you this.
Sure.
So, because they're getting charged, PUB is charging per kilowatt and also per gas, right? Because that was
Right.
the one thing that we were saying is the kilowatts is the lowest compared to other electric companies, but the gas price is what went up. So that's what's made. That was the excuse we were getting, or that's the
Right.
reason why we were doing it, right? So I've been meaning to ask you this. So the 42% that Erasmo's asking for, or the 22% that the mayor is saying they're going to bring down, it's going to be from the kilowatt, right?
Right.
Not from the gas. So the
Not
gas
from the
price
gas.
is going to be high.
See, and that's the thing, is the timing of this makes for a confusing situation, because this audit is coming out talking about Tenasca at the same time we're seeing the spikes in the bills. And for those who were watching closely, back in, I think it was May, when we first approved rolling back the rates.
Yeah.
When that happened, PUB said, if this rate is rolled back, then we're going to stop subsidizing the fuel surcharge. So that some of the Tenasca money that was being collected, even though it wasn't going to happen anymore, was already being given as a rebate to the consumer to subsidize the fuel charge, so it was not higher sooner. Because if that had not been going on, bills would have been higher months ago, if not a year or two ago. As natural gas prices went up in the country, we would have seen those spikes back then.
Yeah.
So it was being kept artificially low. But yes, when we're talking about the rate that the city commission can set and can roll back, that's the rate per kilowatt hour. That has nothing to do with the fuel charge. The fuel charge, that's based on the market.
Yeah,
And the
and I
fuel
think
price is beyond our control, right? Anybody's control.
no,
It's not setting the price of fuel, yeah, because that's set by, that's the capitalist society. That's set by the supply and demand market nationwide and then probably globally. I wouldn't say that price is beyond our control, but there are things we could do, and there are things that, in my opinion, we should do, because that's where I've talked about what's the point of owning your own utility if there's not a benefit from it. And we did see a benefit back when we had the winter storm, and after the storm, we heard people getting $10,000 bills and $20,000 bills because those providers were charging the maximum rate they could that the government allowed them to do and the ERCOT allowed um, for the natural gas prices because the market spiked because demand was so high, of course, during the winter freeze. PUB did not pass that along, even though 60% of the power that PUB generates is produced from natural gas. We did not pass that along to the ratepayer. So we still saw normal bills when people in the rest of the state saw outrageous bills during that winter storm. But that was great then. Now we're in a situation where natural gas prices are high again. It's hurting our consumers who are not just our customers. They are the owners, they are the stakeholders, the shareholders of PUB. We should be paying dividends to our shareholders like any other corporation. And to me, the way you do that is at times like these, you subsidize again. You keep the subsidy going until the market comes back down and we can afford it. And if that means that some of our projects have to be delayed a few months or be delayed a year, that's still something we should consider. Because otherwise, what is the point of owning our own utility if we don't see benefits when times are the toughest?
You
So
said you said projects. Let me go in real quick. Oh, go, Mike, go.
don't forget projects. So for those of us that are new to this and learning about this right now, because we're now starting to pay attention to it, subsidizing means that you pitch in, the city
Right.
pitches in, PUB pitches in, the
Not the city.
difference.
It wasn't the city, it was PUB.
So it's PUB that pitches in the difference. So let's say instead of your bill being $10, we're going to pay $2 of it, and you pay $8. So
Right.
by subsidizing, you mean PUB pitches in some of the amount.
And
Okay.
that's what was
But just
happening.
want to make sure that some people understand that that's what that means.
Yeah, and that's a great example. Yeah, they were using the monies that were coming in, since they weren't going to Tenesca, they were using that to keep the fuel charge low on people's bills. But it
Some of
was way well below what the market was at the time, and bills would have been much higher had they not been doing that. Or they would have been higher sooner. And today what's happening, and I know this has been explained somewhat, but it's also very confusing. So let's say today with the subsidy, this is what we were paying for the fuel surcharge. But in reality, the market is up here. And so once the subsidy's gone, this is where we should be at this much higher price. The law prevents us or prevents PUB from jumping the fees that much from one month to the next. There's
oh,
limits on how much you can go up. So they're having to go up in small increments
okay.
until they get to where the market is.
I thought they could just all of a sudden.
That's why some people saw, well, my bill's doubled over the last 3 months. Yeah, it went up, a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, and now it's doubled and it's still climbing. That's why we're still seeing that climb, because
Okay.
it's got to be stair stepped up. You cannot just jump up drastically, and that's because the law prevents it.
Well, let
Okay.
me ask you. You made mention in regards to the monies that were coming in from Tenaska that were no longer going to be used for Tenaska. They started to be used to subsidize. Uh,
Some.
So when did this start? Because they knew that Tenaska was dead in the water many years before. So when did the subsidies start? Did they start recently after the power outage that we had? A little bit before, because it's when they mentioned it, it seemed like pues lo quieren acomodar well, this is what we did with the Tenasca money. But when did these subsidies actually start?
I don't know when they started. I'd have to go back and research that more. I can't imagine they started right away. I'm sure it had something to do with whenever the price of natural gas started to climb. That's likely when the subsidy started, but I don't know that for a fact. I'd have to do more research on it.
And let's say that's a year and 2 years. We're still talking about
Multiple years.
six more years that they were dodging it in. And what's more concerning, those were years that they knew it was dead in the water. They all knew.
Not
Well,
all. I
not
think
not all,
that's the thing.
not
Is
all.
not
Yeah.
all. That's the
Well,
problem.
the that
There was
little group,
let's say there was a nucleus of folks that knew.
yeah, that little group knew. They knew, and they continued the farce. And in that little nucleus of people was their attorney, Eddie Trevino. They knew, and
There
I
were,
know.
I know there were multiple attorneys involved in this, so I need to look further into what the role of each one was, because I have heard some conflicting stories inside and from reliable sources who tell me things, and some of them were saying that Eddie Trevino was one of the people who was counseling certain things that were not being adhered to and that were not being followed.
Well,
But I don't have corroboration on that yet. Those are things I still have to vet for myself. I'm not going to believe it just reading it on a piece of paper. I want to see it for myself.
I was there at a meeting, and again, as much as some people say, "Oh, Erasmo just likes talking about the everything that goes wrong in Brownsville." I was at a meeting at PUB, and the one I actually someone found on my page, and I shared again. I was at that meeting where they were going to reduce the rates by 15%. It was back in 2015, 2017, if I'm not mistaken, probably 2015. I went to that meeting, and I'd
Mhm.
hardly ever been to a PUB meeting. It was probably one of the first ones I'd gone to. I went to that meeting because I wanted to, to flaunt on it. Like, hey, folks, they're listening to us. Our rates are going to go down. I'll show you. Let me show you. Let me give you some good news. And I went to the meeting, and Nerth Kolonsky was on the board. And Eddie Trevino was the attorney. He was sitting right there, and Mayor Martinez, was on the board as well because he was the mayor. And Eddie Trevino was the one that said nope, uh, recommended to the board not to go down 15%. And I'd like to know exactly when Eddie Trevino knew about it. And again, not for the political, when he knew about it, because why continue the farce? Why not go down those 15% if they knew that it wasn't going to happen? And that's what's gut wrenching to us,
Yeah.
because we need to, and again, I don't know if y'all have already started on this. Y'all probably have. If not, I'm sure law enforcement is going to look into it. I'd love to have a timeline as to who knew, when, at what time, how much they knew, and where we're at now today.
And I
And what
think
did they keep saying
I think
after
the
that?
data is there. We just don't have it laid out on a timeline, but I think a lot of that data is there as far as these reports came in at this time and said X, but then it didn't filter on to the board.
Susan?
Oh yeah, we should.
Susan?
Susan, yeah,
That's,
yeah.
that's the kind of stuff Susan would enjoy doing, like a timeline.
Well, the other one that's and again, Rudy Mireles, and I thought it was kind of funny. I think it was kind of funny. Rudy Mireles, he like, and I mentioned he was a little bit on the piss side. Was going like, because he was actually going like, no, no, it's understandable. These are the numbers, and then to come to find out that the numbers are a little bit on the skewer side, and he was kind of pissed off. I thought it was kind of cute that he put out that picture where he's got all those documents at the top of the table, and he's going like, "Whoa." I shared it. I thought it was kind of cute.
You're
Uh,
driving me crazy. Do you have a big old booger sticking out of your nose?
no,
Or is that the light?
I think it's a lie.
The light.
Now you
Because
got me.
then I see you playing with it. Sorry, guys. This
Now
is
you,
why this is why you had me on the show, just for shits and giggles.
now you got me like looking at my. Well, the good thing is, not that I'm full of myself, but I do got a mirror right here.
Okay, yeah, because I'm like, is that the light, or are you trying to get it taken care of?
Un moco. Este,
Sorry, I'm sorry.
it's okay. It's actually, they did have a little piece of paper on.
Okay.
I actually did have a little piece of paper on there, so I'll admit that. But it wasn't a mocha; it was a piece of paper. One of these things. Let me say, you mentioned projects. One of the things that I think was like really trippy was when they made mention, Brugiak mentioned on the audit report, in the report that not to worry. When they were discussing this, I think it was they were discussing it with Tanasca. Said not to worry, we have the wheels greased, and then CRI comes and clarifies the statement because having your wheels greased, maybe you're
Mhm.
maybe you're going to Grease Monkey, which where I go get my oil changed, but it clarifies it and states that they were exerting their influence over commissioners and board members by using the proverbial dangling of the carrot.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts on that part of the audit?
And of course, this is how I've always operated, even pre-audit. That's why I don't like just getting reports and presentations. I want facts, I want figures, I want the data, and I want to come to my own conclusions on the data. I don't want someone telling me, look, this is what these numbers say, because I've had too many experiences over the years where somebody says X, and when I start looking below the surface, it's not really X. It's A, B, and C. And so I understand and why some people who are in positions like that, they trust. They're like, we've got experts, we've got consultants, we've got all these people that they know what they're talking about, so they trust what's before them. But talking about Reagan, like we did earlier, trust but verify.
But
And
they
there was not enough verification going on.
but they mentioned greased wheels. Lo que yo entendí, especially the dangling the carrot, is, hey,
That has a horrible implication, yes.
we will fund your project, whatever you need to do. We just want to continue with, with Tenasca. Let's give it.
And we did see things mentioned in that audit also that talked about how if the city would continue to maintain the rate at the level it was, that PUB would help fund other projects that the city needed. That's not a reason to do that. That's not why things should be happening.
That was so. And again, and this is one of the reasons. And again, I'm going to give props to Mayor Mendez in this respect, because I have a knack of getting a feel for individuals. And we had a short conversation on Tuesday at the meeting, and we've exchanged little quips and quotes here on the social media only, no text. But I genuinely feel that he's flustered as well. I generally feel, and again, I could be completely crazy, that I feel that he wants to get to the bottom of this as well.
He
I
does.
think that he is at a position where, and again, and that I've had my fights with Mayor Mendez, but I genuinely think that he wants to, yeah, wants to open the floodgates and let whoever falls, let them fall as they may. I truly believe that. I think he was a little bit on the disheartened side as well after getting that information. More props to him. Uh, I don't sense that from other commissioners on there. I don't, and that's just my feel. But
Mhm.
I do feel that, and again, I appreciate it. And when I did put up my comment, I said, Mayor, it's not enough, and it's not enough, Commissioner, because I I had no trust in Martinez. I had no trust in Martinez. I had no trust in GBEC back then. Especially with all those little Colombian trips that they were making. You know about them. That Colombian, going to open the doors to development here in Brownsville that
Mhm.
never came to be. Uh, you know, uh, I didn't trust. I didn't trust at all. I didn't believe anything that was being produced. But a big old chunk of people from Brownsville, they did. They did, and I would get a lot of flack from a lot of folks. Oh, drop the mic. This is happening, and that's what you're negative years ago. But I truly believe that a lot of people, even individuals that don't like Erasmo Castro, and there's a couple of those, not that many, but those individuals, they were disheartened.
Mhm.
Now the question is, and going back into the putting up, you know, make assurances that this never happens again.
Part. Yeah.
How, Commissioner, do you as a commission recapture that trust as a commission, not you individually, but as
Right.
a commission? How do you recapture that trust?
Well, I personally, it stayed the course as far as I'm concerned, and let me explain why. And I know a lot of people are concerned because of the implications of what did the commission know back then, how involved was the mayor? That was all part of it. I get the frustration. I get where that's coming from. But we've got to remember the commission today, and whether you trust all of them or some of them, whatever, but this commission today is who ordered this audit, who supported it all the way to the end, even though it took longer than it was expected to make sure it was done right rather than done fast. And this commission had already put in subpoena powers for the Ethics Advisory Commission, financial reporting requirements for boards like PUB. We were already taking the tougher steps even before this came out. So I think we've got the right team in place, at least a majority right team in place to keep moving in the right direction. But how do we get it? One, we stay the course and keep pushing for that accountability. And the next step is absolutely a charter amendment where you expand the influence the city has, and maybe not over the day-to-day decisions and operations, but absolutely policies, procedures where you can put in the safeguards if that board is not willing to.
I appreciate that you mentioned the majority.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I appreciate you said the majority, because again, Commissioner Golonsky was on the board. I think she was chair of the board, the PUB board. During a big old chunk of the time that Tanasca was sold to us as it
Mhm.
was. Uh, Rose Gowan was on the commission. Jessica Tetreault was on the commission. And look, one of the things that I've made mention, I don't, and all feelings aside that I may have towards these commissioners individually or as a group, they should have said something.
Well, keep in mind, if they knew, absolutely they should have said something. But keep in mind, let's just say everything in that report is 100% accurate. This is gospel. If we believe that report and we believe that there was this wrongdoing by the mayor and by the CEO at PUB, then by the same token, we should believe the report when it says the information was not given to the city commission. They were operating on false narratives, on outdated information, and they made decisions based on demand that they were told was going to be there and that we were going to fall short on that never came to fruition.
But it was never presented to the city commission as a whole.
True.
Commissioner Golonsky was on the board. Uh, Rose Gowan had this. Mayor Martinez was on the board.
Yes.
I mean, they all had this little click going on. They had to know. They've had to know. Again, what we know for a fact is that at right now at present, Commissioner the PUB board back then had some inkling into it, and if they didn't, they should have.
They
Uh,
absolutely should have.
they
So
should have.
then, so then the same players then and now that are in politics right now would be Golonsky because she was on the PUB board, Gowan because she was on the PUB board,
No, she was
Commission,
not.
city
or she
commission.
was a commissioner.
Jessica Tetreault,
Trotro was a city commissioner at the time. Um,
Eddie
Eddie
Trevino.
Trevino, who's a county judge,
Mhm.
and Brusiak.
Well, Brusiak's not an elected official, but yes,
No, but yeah, sorry. So yes,
But he was there then and now.
the people that were then and
Yes.
now, those are the people that were then and now.
yes.
That's it, right? Those are the players then and now. Whether they knew or didn't know.
Other than consultants, yeah.
Mike, again, since you mentioned consultants, there's a lot of concerns, and I think you know where I'm going. There's a lot of concerns in regards to the individuals who were consultants during this audit. And there's a lot of concerns because, one of them is, of course, our sitting county judge who actually uh, submitted reports, or there's reports out there in regards to what he was charging per hour. If I'm not mistaken, numbers don't add up. The hours say that he was earning thousands of dollars per hour if his billing that was reported on there is correct, and that's a little bit on the concerning side. But I'm not going to go into the well, he's a sitting county judge,
Mhm.
knowing that the Tanasca is not going to be, and still banking on the fact that on Tanasca. I don't want to go into that.
Even
My
though you
concern,
already did.
huh?
Even though you already did, but go on.
I already did. My concern, my concern, Ambiotech. Ambiotech was the third
That's
largest.
another group of players, right?
Yeah, Ambiotech was the third largest consultant to receive money.
Mhm.
And we all know Carlos Marin, is Ambiotech. But more concerning to me, Commissioner, is you got PUB board members that have a very close relationship to Ambiotech. Isn't that a conflict of interest?
Not necessarily. I think the law defines very clearly what constitutes a conflict of interest. So if any of the board members had business dealings, that would be something. If any of the board members had interest in Ambiotech or did consulting work or were paid by Ambiotech, even for something unrelated, that's a potential conflict of interest. But just a relationship, and keep in mind,
But we do have one sitting PUB board member that has done contractual work for Ambiotech.
currently or
Who,
then,
currently, whose wife works for Ambiotech.
Currently, yes.
So, this is again going back into that little timeline that we hope someone is producing out there. Did they know? When did they know? And did they continue the farce? And did they continue with it, knowing that out there. And again,
And
this is
those are very legitimate questions. And like I said, I don't think every question's been answered yet, but I just encourage people, if you're going to give credence and weight and faith to the things that in the report that say these horrible things happened, then by the same token, if there's nothing to show anything more than that, let's not read too much into it, or let's not assume there's boogeymen hiding out there until we say, look, we vetted it, we found it, this is also going on.
well, I think people are on the boogeyman right now.
Oh, and I get that. I totally get that. And like I say, and that's why I keep echoing that. Remember, you've got a commission that has been very aggressive about turning things around on accountability, transparency, operating ethically. And the mayor and I don't always vote the same way on things. And I'm talking about Mayor Mendes right now. But I will tell you, he's been a huge ally all the way along throughout my tenure as a commissioner when it comes to it's got to be done right. It needs to be accountable. It needs to be ethical. And on that, he is a fantastic ally, and I'm very proud of
Wait,
that.
hang
And
on,
that's why I
because
say we've got a majority who will ensure the right things are done.
okay, but let me just say, and I like you probably more than Erasmo likes you. So
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
I'm probably a little bit nicer to you than Erasmo is.
Yes.
But one of the things you said right now that the mayor is, and this is because I came in full on believing everything the mayor says is good because he's an awesome person.
Mhm.
But you said right now that he is pushing for things to be done ethically. But isn't he also the one who said just because it's against the law doesn't mean it's not ethical? So
that's because it's unethical doesn't mean it's against the law.
thank you. Yeah. So isn't he contradicting himself?
Oh,
himself
no.
saying what he's saying to what you're saying about him. Do you know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying, but no, it's not a contradiction because I see that all the time, and we've had that discussion before, and I've had that with other folks, and we can absolutely agree that nope, this is definitely not illegal, but is it ethical? And there is a difference between ethical or unethical and illegal. So no, the mayor's definitely not contradicting himself when he's talking about that. And we have to think about things in those terms. And this is a good segue into this. Just like a lot of folks were very upset that Mr. Brujak was put on leave with pay. And the best example I've given some of those folks, I'm like, okay, hold on. So let's say, Maggie, let's say that Erasmo works for you.
No, let's say Maggie got in trouble at BISD.
No, let's put it this way, because I want you to be the supervisor here, you to be the boss, or you to be the business owner.
Okay.
Let's say Erasmo works for you. And I come to you and I say, hey, he's doing some pretty horrible things over here, and he's putting you at risk. He's putting people at risk. You need to do something about this. Just on my word, are you going to say, hey, you can't come to work anymore? I'm not paying you. You have to wait until I figure this out?
Oh, no, we get it.
I
think a lot of people, a lot of the citizens get it, that this is the way we do things democratically. This is how we treat people within a job. You don't fire people willy-nilly. But they do. Yeah, that's what I was about to say. But if it was, who posted it today? But if it was the guy walking down the street selling corn, getting busted, I've seen it happen. You come in, sweep in, and take everything away from the person when it's lower income.
But who is it that's doing it?
The city.
The city.
For a city employee?
No, city towards elote vendors. That's what Maggie's referring to.
Yeah, that was what I'm referring. But haven't we seen it also where people were embezzling money, or local employees, a district clerk or some secretary was embezzling some of the money, and they come in and it seems like that action is swifter the lower income the person is. And I'm just saying it based on what I've seen in the past. Maybe what I've seen in the past, the person, the clerk, the secretary were investigated longer before you get the information. But from what I've seen, it seems like the richer you are, the likelier, who else said it also? Carlos said, if you're going to embezzle or if you're going to do something white collar crime, do it in the millions because you're more likely to get away with it.
Carlos said that. But let me interject before you answer, Commissioner.
Sure.
we've seen it. And actually, John Shergold, who defends a lot of individuals that do work for the city and has, probably gone out there and filed some grievances. I know for a fact that he filed a lot of the grievances at BIZ when I was on the board. And let me tell you, it was common practice, not based on supposition, not based on rumor, not based on innuendo, but when you have
Yeah.
documentation, then you suspend without pay, especially if the charges that you are being accused of are up there in the very very illegal things. Let me tell you, there's $160,000 documentation out there in regards to everything that these people did.
So that's better said. We
That
have documentation about Brusiak.
But here,
documentation that you all asked for, that
that's
you all paid out of our city monies. You
but
have the
that
documentation.
but that right there is the key. Is that the city? These are not city employees. We did not find a city employee doing something illegal and decide to put them on leave with pay.
No, no,
This is
but
the
no, no.
city. This
But,
is the city.
but you would have. The
If
city
it was
would
a
have
city
because it
employee,
has.
most likely I would think so.
The
But
Let,
that's the difference. But that's the difference is this is the city that had this audit done. And this is the findings that we found in our audit. And
Yeah.
now we're telling PUB,
No, but not
your
not your eyes. The CRI eyes.
the CRI eyes, yes.
But let me say, I mean, that even proves the point even greater, in regards to having, we necessarily have to change the charter, because at
Okay,
the end of
definitely
it,
change your charter. But understand what I'm saying though. I'm talking about
yeah,
would
I'm going there.
Maggie fire you because I said, well, I did a study over here
I'm
and
not.
it
I'm not.
also got to
No,
go.
I'm not blaming you. I'm not
Or
blaming. I'm not
or
blaming the city
your
commission.
boss
No,
in
I'm not
your
blaming.
employee, would she say, I need to verify that for myself
I'm not
because
blaming I'm not blaming the city commission, because I understand.
no. Wait,
No,
Erasmo, let him
no, no, no,
talk. You're not letting
no,
me
no.
hear.
No, but I just want to say I'm not blaming the city commission, because I understand that the city commission, it has that separation because of the way that it's set up.
right.
But don't you think that the PUB board should have? And let me and
But,
before you
that's why. Because
uh,
the PUB board did not conduct this audit. These are
but
not the findings of the PUB board.
they should have.
They should, and that's what they're saying they want to do now.
But why? We already paid $160,000 for an audit. Why do we have to pay? And again,
Back to my question, should Maggie fire you on my word,
no,
or
not
should
your
she
word.
ensure that
But this,
you, her employee,
no, no, but this
still?
is our this is you mentioned this is our PUB. It's
Yes,
our PUB.
yes.
You all are our commissioners. So it's basically it's that
But
little,
he's,
that
but he is
little
not. He
that's
is not
still
a
that
city employee.
it's that still the little love triangle that we have.
So
You know,
then, hang on, Erasmo. So then, if I'm understanding what you're saying, so he's not a city employee. He doesn't fall under the city. Okay, so who governs him?
The PUB board.
and they should have put him on leave without pay.
But then, so then the PUB board can't do that until they do the investigation themselves, evaluate the paperwork that's been presented in the audit.
In my opinion, yes, because then they could open themselves up to liability.
But don't you
If
think
you look at on my website, I sent this to Erasmo earlier,
yeah.
but if you go to my website, voteforroy.com, you'll have the latest TANASCA documents and the PowerPoint presentation from Tuesday City Commission meeting. And that shows the sections of the city charter. That shows you the limits that the city has no authority over hiring or firing any PUB employees.
But don't you think it's insult? Don't you think it's an insulting to the community and to our city commissioners? Don't you think it's insulting that they would question the facts on the audit that we paid $160,000 for?
No, I don't think it's insulting.
I think it's insulting.
If somebody came up to us and says, Osmo, I've got a study that says X, you're not going to vet it?
Well, if
It's gospel?
it had cost me $160,000, you better believe I'm going to look at it a couple of times. But if it was for free,
Well, that's what he's saying. Yeah,
That's all I'm saying.
that's what he's saying.
$160,000. Anyway, but again, I understand. And when
That's why
you see
my
this, but this,
I
this is
have
what,
I have every confidence when PUB has their chance to vet this thoroughly. I expect they're going to reach the same conclusion that we did.
I have a
I
problem with
expect that they will take the appropriate action at that time.
I have a problem with the fact that it takes him 60 days because,
I don't think it's going to take him 60 days.
but he was given 60 days without pay.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean he's going to stay on payroll for 60 days.
Okay, all right. Because to
We
me,
hope.
I mean, how many of us, I was thinking about this today, how many of us in our jobs have had our boss come in and say, I'm going to give you 2 months to take care of this? That is something really we could take care of in a week. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So that's my concern is like 2 months paid leave. I'm going to go, what is it that the Gutierrez did? Galapagos, go ski with the turtles.
Yeah, yeah. He was in the Galapagos,
No, I'd be very disappointed if this took more than 30 days.
drinking margaritas. But let me say, and I think that this is, and again, I know it's not y'all's fault. Uh, Again, this goes back to the frustration in regards to the people of Brownsville feeling powerless because we have absolutely no control over that which is ours. We have no control because at the end of the day, we thought we would think, and I know how the charter works, but I thought you'd think that the individuals that we elect to oversee, the monies that we're receiving and to oversee our property and to receive what is ours have absolutely no power to do anything, or very limited power. Let me rephrase
But
that.
keep in
Very
mind,
limited.
keep in mind, there have been times over the years where the city commission wanted to expand the power of the city commission, and the voters overwhelmingly voted no.
But not,
Um,
not in regards to Tenasca, not in regards to PUB.
No, this
but
is years ago, but I'm saying anytime the city has tried to grow its power to do things and to have oversight, whatever else, the citizens have
Yeah,
voted no.
on
but
the
not.
on the bad, isn't this the bad side of being democratic also?
Yes, it is.
Isn't this the red
It's the
tape and
downside.
bureaucracy that everybody gets upset about?
Yep,
That's
Let,
absolutely.
let me ask Carlos question. Who's going to be on the charter review committee?
I need to find out, but I'm hopeful that we're going to get to appoint fresh people to it. I can't imagine that the same people that did it 2 years ago are going to be the same people moving forward.
I, I'm going to pray that it's not the same people that are constantly on all the other boards and committees. You know, uh,
I can only
thinking,
speak for myself, and I get that sentiment at Osmo, but here's the thing. And like I heard John Shergold the other night. Well, look, all these people who are out here speaking against this, these are the people who should be on the PUB board. I get where he's coming from. I get the sentiment. I get the outrage because of what has happened. But here's the thing. If you just appoint anyone and you pick someone, this person's never served on a board before, never been in the politics, never been anything. You think they're not going to get fooled by people lying to them?
yeah, no, no,
And that's the problem. You can't just appoint anyone. You've got to appoint somebody who's going to be qualified.
yeah.
For
I'm not going to speak for John Shergold. I mean, he does a lot of good speaking on his own. But I think what he was trying to imply or say, let's get new people on there.
I think, Mr. De Los Santos, is that we have enough qualified people so that we don't have John Cowing on the city commission and on the housing board. That we don't have Sampaio on the PUB board and on the housing board. That we don't have all these people that are here and there and everywhere, and nobody else can get in on it.
Yeah.
And I think Brownsville has enough intelligent people. I mean, and isn't the school board, isn't it what is typical that if you eventually want to move up in politics, your traditional first place to start out for is in the school board? And that isn't that what we all know, that Joey Lopez's daughter, I can't even think of her name right now, Daniela, that she is probably going to go on somewhere else. So she's starting off in the school board. And I'm just saying her for example. So eventually she's going to move up the ladder of politics. So I totally lost my train of thought.
Let me say that.
talking about enough qualified people, and let me
Yeah.
let me comment on that.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you, Maggie, but out of the 100, let's say 200,000 people we have, and there's people that applied for a position on a board, and I see a list of 20 names. I don't know who the qualified person is, and those applications alone are not going to tell me. And I can tell you what I've always done. And I had a citizen that reached out to me this week who said he's interested in being on a board. I said, I want to meet you. I said, because I won't just appoint somebody to a board because they express interest or they show something on a piece of paper. I need to get a feel for the person and know that, yes, I can trust this person. And there are people who I've appointed to boards so far this year that I did not know them before. But after meeting with them, talking to them, I have faith in them and confidence in them.
It's just like a job application. You interview people and you look at their resume and their experience.
Yeah, look, I'll accept to be on the charter review board, and let me say,
Thank you.
yeah, I'll accept because let me say this. it might be a step in the right direction, not for anything else, but I don't have that closest to everybody else because it's something that someone mentioned, you know, and I'll mention her name. You know, we've got a Langley on the PUB board that was on the GPEC board when they went to Colombia. You know, there's pictures of her and the mayor. So do I have faith that her or a business partner for Mayor Martinez, can't remember her name, Susan or whatever her name is, you know,
Sandra?
Sandra, who used to be her secretary, I don't know if she still is, has that close relationship. Do I have faith that these people, you know, who have this close knit tie with the mayor, are going to go out there and do the right thing for the people of Brownsville instead of protecting their friend, their compadre? And this is where the well, it just sounds very convenient. Like, well, you know, there's some factual issues with the audit that we want to look into. Going like, really, what about the individuals that are going out there and getting their light bill disconnected? They don't get a review. We don't. And that's one of the things I think that Linda Macias, Linda Macias. Linda Macias was very, very passionate about. Our people are hurting, and there is no mercy. There is a 10-day grace period and something, but people still have to pay, that upcharge after, they miss their deadline. And then they have to pay disconnection notice.
We're freezing this week. We've already announced that.
And I'm running at GOP. That is for.
Wait, say that again. I hadn't heard that.
We said that at the city commission meeting on Tuesday, that the PUB board has already voted to freeze the late fees and stop disconnections. And now the city commission needs to ratify it. We've called for a special meeting Monday for first reading and a special meeting Tuesday for second reading to put it into effect.
Thank you. I had not heard that. And I'll be the first one to say I have not seen any of the meetings. I've missed out on all the stuff that's been going on. But of all the little bits and pieces, that's not a bit of information I'd heard at all. So thank you for bringing that up.
Absolutely.
And other guys are running at GOP. That is for charging you more money because the companies are giving so much money to GOP. I haven't received a damn dime. And if someone kept my check, break down, bitches. Send me my damn check.
But well, back to your point, though. Back to your point on who do we trust, and is it the same people? Who picks them? Because whether it's the commissioners, who are the elected representatives of the people, who pick who's on the charter review committee, or whether you put it out for popular vote, and you can see what the result of popular vote is. Look at your city commission. That's the result of your popular vote. So I understand if you see names that you know before that have a bad track record, or you disagree with their track record, you're going to be skeptical. I get that. But what's the answer? Because if you have the city vote, we see what the outcome is. It's what our current city commission looks like today. If you have those commissioners appoint, we've got an idea of where that will go. And I can tell you, I understand the sentiment because of everything right now. But like I said, we've got a majority headed in the right direction. We've got a majority appointing the right people. And I think even on the PUB board right now, we've got a majority minimum that will do the right thing.
But couldn't you put in some kind of policy, or I don't know what the word is, saying you can't be in more than...
We've got that policy. You're limited to 2 boards, 2 city boards.
We already have that policy. It seems like there's some people that are on there more than not.
Not currently. I'm not aware of anybody who's on more than 2 boards today.
Okay.
At one point they had reduced it to 1 board maximum.
Let me say that I'm going to believe that maybe a majority of the city commission. I'll take that. I think I know who the minority in the city commission are in regards to that you mentioned, but I won't have you point them out. I'm going to not agree with you in regards to the majority of the individuals on the PUB board wanting to do the right thing. I mean.
And I understand that sentiment completely, Erasmo, but I have full faith. And just like at the city, I've got folks that keep me in the know. At PUB, I've got folks that keep me in the know. And that's why I'm confident.
Yeah, but
once they vet it, that they'll reach the right conclusions.
And I'm not going to mention the city commission. I don't want you to have any issues with with individuals on there.
Knew what's coming.
But I'm not going to mention any names.
Waiting for it to spill out.
Not going to mention any names. No,
which I don't mind, but I was like sitting here going, how long is it going to take before you spit it out?
But I mean, again, we got Langley that was out there with the mayor all over the place, all over Colombia on our dime. You got Sandra that was you know business partner, if not still a business partner with Tony Martinez right now. We got Art Rendon on there, and I think you appointed
I
Art.
appointed Art
I
on.
think you appointed Art Rendon out there. I mean, I don't trust Art Rendon as far as I could throw him,
Art, and one of the reasons I appointed Art was
and
because he was one of the guys that went to the FBI when things were going wrong.
with Sylvia.
I don't know if it was no, it was with BISD. I don't think it was with Sylvia.
I think it was well. I know for a fact that he was called in by the FBI 6 different times during the Sylvia thing, but they called him in. But one of my issues with Arendon is because again because of a lot of the dealings that happened at BISD, which I am privy to because sat in the back of the boardroom, and we had those discussions. So that's why it kind of irked my chain a little bit that he would be on there. And the other one is Jude Benavides. I mean, he's too close of a relationship with Ambutech. His wife works for Ambutech. He does contractual work for Ambutech. Has this great relationship with the mayor. And again, I'm
But
going to trust.
the mayor is one of the people I have the greatest confidence in over
No,
there,
no, I'm talking about the
as
previous
is Art. But
mayor.
you're saying Jude has a great relationship with the mayor.
With previous mayor.
Oh, the previous mayor. Okay, I thought you were talking about Mayor Mendez. Okay,
With the previous mayor, and
okay.
who was on the board back then.
And
Again,
I don't know Jude for the record. I don't know Jude.
yeah, he was one of my professors at the college. He was an okay professor, good professor, good professor. Not as great as Dr. Savaleta. Savaleta is the best, best one I've had. But let me say, I just don't have that confidence. And again, I'm praying that they do the right thing. I'm praying that because they now know that there's a lot of individuals that are going to be going to the meetings, and again, one of the things that Sampaio sent to I think Carlo and Kayla that in the 2 years that two previous years that he'd been there, and he's been there for longer, I think, but 2 years that he had never seen anyone come to the PUB board meetings, and and had never spoken at the PUB meetings, and I understand that, and I explained and I said, well, um, people thought that they were doing the right thing. We found out that that wasn't the case, and that's what's very, very, very disheartening. Uh, Going back into the projects, into the consultants, into all this little web. My concern, Commissioner, besides Eddie Trevino's $2 million and Ambiotech's $4 million and everybody else, this is one project. It's a big one, but it's one project. Don't you think that maybe other projects have been tainted the same way?
I
I
can.
don't.
I was gonna say. I bet you I know what he's gonna say.
Nowhere near that extent, because one, like you've even said, for years people had been hollering about Tenasca. I don't see that going on with other projects at PUB. The other thing I see people hollering about the most right now is the new building when the old one is still sitting there.
But you can understand where we're coming from in
Absolutely.
that we don't trust.
No, I get that, but apply that same logic, because we're saying that we're being vindicated, we're being proven right. We've been saying it for years, but now we're saying, well, if we were saying it for years and we were right here, is it happening somewhere else? Well, if it were happening somewhere else, I think there'd be somebody in the know, somebody making noise, somebody hollering about it.
I think because of the greater extent. I, and again,
And that's a possibility. But again, I'm not going to see boogeymen behind every tree and behind every door
shouldn't we
because
be
we
looking?
found one.
Shouldn't we be looking for them
Yes,
now?
it's trust but verify.
Trust but verify.
It's,
Now,
it shouldn't be like, oh, now we don't believe anybody, we don't believe anything. Well, no, because you've got people that are telling you the truth. That's why we know what we know now. We would not know the things we know today if it weren't for the folks who are cooperating, who are coming forward, who are telling the truth.
but after the audit,
To wipe everybody with the same brush and say,
but after the audit, because again, let me
no, the audit, the results of the audit are the result of people who cooperated with it, people who supported it,
well, they
people
had
who
to,
got all the way through.
but they had to cooperate with it. I mean, it was like their feet were being held to the fire. And I'll mention this because then if we had whistleblowers, which we have heard of no whistleblowers as of yet. I mean, I don't know. And again, this is one of the other questions that I had. Is there an internal separate audit that y'all are privy to, that PUB is privy to, that we haven't been made a privy to.
He's
That
not going
they
to tell you.
no, no there is there
I'm not aware of any other audit.
yeah,
I've heard PUB
perfect.
had done other audits prior to my joining the commission, but like I've heard
But
someone
there,
say
but there
that
was no
audit found that
there,
there was nothing wrong, that everything was okay.
there were no whistleblowers until CRI came and started interviewing city commissioners, mayors, staff members. There were no whistleblowers. That's my concern.
I'm not aware of whether or not there were or were not.
Well, if there had been, we would have had a lot more information.
If anybody was listening at the time.
Yeah, and I think one of the things, and again, this is out there. This is just rumor, but uh, supposedly the feds went up there and said someone's got to investigate this. And my concern is, if there had been whistleblowers before, the feds would have known about it before, and there would have been a little bit more advanced in the investigation. Because as of now, we're starting from zero.
Not necessarily, and I feel I can say this firsthand because I remember an incident I had years ago with another elected entity, not the city of Brownsville, and what I experienced was absolutely soliciting a bribe, and I went to the Justice Department with it. I never even received a response, and I submitted both on their website and via email. Now that doesn't mean they didn't open a file, that they didn't put it somewhere, and that doesn't mean that there wasn't a whistleblower saying, "Hey, this is going on, and this is the individual who's doing it," because I was absolutely the whistleblower in that scenario. I never saw anything come of it at the federal level. I never got a call, an email, anything, or anybody asking, "Okay, let's elaborate on this. Tell us what you know." I never saw that, so I can't say definitively there was definitely no whistleblowers. I don't know, because I've been a whistleblower before and saw nothing come of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't think that no one was forthright in regards to coming to share information until the audit, until the individuals from the audit started to interview individuals. That's my take on it. Again, I might be wrong.
That's a reasonable take, but like I say, there was no audit going on when I went to the Justice Department.
Yeah, well, I've been to the feds myself, and been very, very frustrated in regards to how slow they act, or they take action. Um, do you think that the feds are going to take action?
I have no doubt they're going to investigate, and I have no doubt that if they find wrongdoing, they will act on it.
So you think that they are going to find wrongdoing?
It's not what I said. I have no doubt they're going to investigate, and I have no doubt that if they find wrongdoing, they're going to act on it.
Based on the information we have now, and maybe other knowledge that you have, do you think somebody's going to jail?
I don't know. I can't say for sure whether or not somebody's going to jail. Um, there's not a lot I can say beyond that because I don't know what the evidence will show.
Do you think someone should go to jail?
I can say that if someone goes to jail, I wouldn't be disappointed because I'd have every confidence they're going to jail for a reason.
Hell yeah.
I'm confident that this is going to be handled the right way.
I like the way Mr. De Los Santos tap dances around some of the answers, and I don't mean it in a that you deny or you don't answer it, because
Exactly.
I can see how some of the stuff you can't say. I can see
Right.
how there's some things that you can't say because you being the city commissioner, you can't give us all the information that you know. But I still like the way you answer it. I'm like entertained by the way you answer it, Asmo, because every once in a while you say something like, "Oh, okay." But then half the time I see that you're like, and I don't mean it as an insult. I like
Of course. No,
honestly.
I don't take it that way. I don't take it that way at all. Because yeah, I know I'm never going to try and give you the runaround to not answer your question. I
Mm-hmm,
just don't want to give an answer that is it's not fair for me to be giving.
mm-hmm. I understand that. Yeah, I see it, and I also see where Erasmo won't let up.
Oh, absolutely. And you shouldn't. You shouldn't. The people should not let up. Like, but my message has always been, don't let up. Speak out. Absolutely. Just please always do your best to keep it fact based. Because I can tell you when I sit there and when somebody's talking to me about serious concerns and then they start lying about something, they lose me right there.
Yeah.
I'm like, how can I believe anything? And do I want to put my energy into investigating something now when I know that this part for sure is a lie? That's where you lose me. So just do your best to always keep it fact based, and you'll always have me fighting for you.
Uh, let me. One of the things, and this again going into supposition. Uh, you were for the arena, and
Yes.
actually, came out and did a lot of nice little videos for the individuals in the arena. Knowing what you know now in regards to some of the players that were involved with the arena that might have been involved with Tony Martinez, uh, a couple of the contractors out there that were at PUB, are you a little bit more skeptical that the arena would actually have been a blessing for Cameron County?
No, not at all. Only because I know the arena and Madeira, that's Dennis Sanchez. And I don't think I've heard Dennis's name mentioned in anything related to Tenasca. So and I know other stuff that I've seen Dennis in. Uh, I'm comfortable with, I'm confident in, and I think he's done some great things for us as a community. So no, I'm not any more skeptical of the arena. That's something I would still love to see come to Cameron County.
But you, well, based on this arena, which Eddie Trevino was pushing like a crazy man.
Hmm.
Eddie Trevino, who weeks or months before had gone to Hidalgo County and collected money from contractors, architects, builders, and all these other individuals. He was the number one proponent for this. After learning of everything that, and again, now that is in doubt in regards to his billing hours, him being one of the key individuals in this Tenasca mess, should we trust the county judge?
I haven't seen enough to get me not to trust him yet, only because, like I said, I've heard things on both sides about how he conducted himself as counsel, and there was more than one attorney on this. So I still want to see more. When it comes to the arena and trusting on stuff like that, even on this PUB issue, I see people in public who, just like me, want to see more done and absolutely want to see this investigation continue. But these are also people who I would not want to be sitting next to on the bus. I want to have nothing to do with these folks. And when it comes to the arena, my support for the arena had nothing to do with the county judge being in support of this. This was something I looked at on my own. I've looked at for years, and I see what Hidalgo has, what I'd like to see here. And that's why I supported the arena, not because the county judge was for it or because any other elected official was for it.
Well, I'll tell you my stance on it. I've been screaming about an arena for the longest time,
Mhm.
just not with these people.
No,
And
and
I
like you
say
said,
that,
and I understand where you're coming from. You're like, show me numbers that I know where they came from, that I trust the numbers, I trust the figures. I
yeah,
get that. I absolutely get that sentiment.
not with these individuals. But let me say, one of the things that I was a little bit on the like chinteras. Our county judge collected $1.3 million toward while he was county judge. His law firm did one point
No, no,
one
it
point
was
two.
not while he was county judge, because the monies he collected was over an 8-year period.
Well, no,
Get over that.
the
Though.
2 million, the 2 million came at the 8 year period. The last 1.3 came in the last during his term.
I
That
think it overlaps towards when it was
Yeah.
I
in
would
here.
double check that. What I remember was the 1.9 figure was everything he collected over all of those years. And of that 1.9, 1.2 or 1.3 was specifically Tenasca. But that didn't mean it was just the 18 months or whatever that he was county judge.
the numbers that
I would want to see that timeline as well.
yeah, let's check that timeline because the numbers that we have that have been produced in regards to the open records requests in regards to what monies were received, they come out to 1.2 million dollars. Again, you can check that. But let's say
Yeah, I want to check it because remember in the last 3 days I've heard today I hear he's charging thousands of dollars per hour. Yesterday I heard he was charging 225 per hour. The day before that I heard he was charging $500 per hour.
yeah, yeah, it's
And
good.
even though I've got 3 figures, I've heard it from only 2 people.
Yeah, let's see if I probably said that.
I was gonna say Erasmo being one of them.
No,
Two
let's say
of them.
let's say that let's say he did collect $1.2 million. Just say that he collected while he was sitting county commissioner. Do you think it was justified for him and the other commissioners to go out there and ask for a 20% raise while they were collecting millions of dollars from these projects?
See, here's the thing that I have on that. We shouldn't look at what we pay the county judge based on how much does he make in his profession. Because either we want, just like with the city commissioner, do we want city commissioners to be full-time in workforce, and what do we want the job to be, and what should we pay for that job? It shouldn't be about, well, you know what, let's say Trey Mendez is a multimillionaire, so no, the
He
mayor
is.
should be paid. Well, Commissioner De Los Santos, he makes six figures, so he shouldn't be paid.
He's
But
rich.
if we have somebody who's from Southmost who only makes, let's say, $15 an hour, well, now we should pay this commissioner $40,000 a year. Whether or not you pay $40,000 a year for a city commissioner or $10 a meeting for a city commissioner should be based on the job, not what they're making on the outside.
Okay. Commissioner Dos Santos,
Yeah.
do, do you think it's ethical or a good thing that after receiving millions of dollars from Tanasca, that the county judge and county commissioners gave themselves a 20% raise while giving employees that work at the bridge at the courthouse a 3% raise?
Let's set Tanasca aside from that question and let's just ask ourselves about that. Should people at the top be getting a 20% raise when people on the front lines are getting a 3% raise? Absolutely not. That should never be the case. And this was something I said when I first came in as city commissioner. When I saw there were people in the higher levels of management who had pay adjustments or bonuses or whatever they were calling them, and city employees on the front lines had not had a raise in 7 years, that's unacceptable. I don't care how good our fund balance is. I don't care if we've got the largest fund balance in the history of Brownsville. If your employees have not had a raise in 7 years, there's a problem. And you cannot call yourself successful until that's rectified. You've got to have equity between the frontline, entry-level employees, all the way to your leadership. And if there's not enough to go around, then you start with raises on the front lines, and raises for the executives should be last.
So you disagree with their raises?
I
Yeah.
disagree with a 20% raise for those elected officials if the frontline employees were going to get a 3% raise.
Setting Tanasca aside.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
even adding,
Tanasca shouldn't be a factor in
adding
whether or not
Tanasca,
you give a raise.
adding Tanasca just makes it all hell of a lot worse. Thank you for your endorsement, Commissioner. I'm going to actually write that on my page. I want to thank Commissioner Rosales for endorsing me for this year.
Fake news.
We all have anybody charge me. Let's go. Appoint me to a PUB board. We want to cancel out monopoly being a competition. That's one of the comments that has been made out there. That it is a monopoly. Do you see anything in the future for there to be competition with PUB in regards to providing utilities for our city?
I can tell you that, and I've said this before, and I think I even said this to Mr. Brujak the last time they were before the commission. What is the point in owning our own utility if there's not a benefit for the owners, for the ratepayers, for the shareholders, for the citizens? And if PUB can't convince me that there's a benefit, and I don't just mean, well, we're going to give $10 million to the city every year for the general fund. No, I'm talking about for the citizens. If you cannot show me there's a benefit for the citizens who are the stockholders, then we should not have our own utility. I firmly believe that. There's got to be a benefit.
So then you would be in favor of having competition for our utility rates?
If PUB cannot change the way it operates into a model where there's a benefit for the people, then yes, I would support open market.
Next steps, Commissioner. What are the next steps for the city commission? I know
Let me answer this question of Nelda's. I like this question.
Okay, good.
If it's true that the commissioners were not given the information to make appropriate decisions, why did they not challenge and require more information to be better informed? They didn't know, Nelda. To the best of their knowledge, everything that was put up there, and this is the way I read the audit, everything that was put in front of them, they had these reports, and the reports look fantastic. And it says, this is the reality. This demand is high. We will not be able to meet it. And we're going to have problems for providing for our citizens if we don't do X. And based on that, they felt like they had full information. and they operated as such. That's what the audit is telling us, that the information that should have gone to the PUB board and should have gone to the city commission didn't, that it was manipulated, and or that old data that was outdated, that was known to be outdated and was no longer reflecting the reality of demand on the market, that's what was being put in front of them. So it's not that they didn't have any information and failed to ask questions. It's that they were given a lot of information and it probably looked very credible. And they probably, since they're not experts in that field, they didn't know to ask more questions. And I don't fault them completely for that, but that's why I myself am always like, don't give me the presentation, give me the facts and figures. I want to look at the data myself. Don't tell me what the data tells me. I'll determine what the data tells me.
Well, and again, just to clarify, some did know.
Absolutely.
Where
That
did
the audit told us that. The audit absolutely told us that.
some, and that's what I think is a really, really disheartening to a lot of it. Well, it's disheartening to me because it's just disheartening because I didn't even think that me being all that negative didn't even think it was this bad. As bad as the report reads. I knew it was bad. I just didn't know it was that bad.
No, and I'm very glad that I've been able to be part of the commission that has brought this to light. But keep in mind, that was one of the other things that the audit told us, is that questions were already being asked and people were already pushing and looking. And I think even Mayor Mendez had been one of the ones asking for rollback of the Tenasca rates, even from when he took office. But like the audit told us, then here comes PUB saying, well, no, if we keep the rates high, we're going to do X, Y, Z for the city. We're going to do these other things. So I think even then we still had good voices on the commission who were probably asking questions and fighting for the right things, but we're in the minority at the time. And I know we've got a different commission today where there is a majority that's headed in the right direction.
But a minority is not.
Say that again.
But a minority on there is not.
I'm not trying to say that there's a minority fighting doing the right thing. I'm just trying to say we know we've got a majority that will fight to do the right thing.
There is. You don't have to say it. I'll say it.
You can ask me after the show. Good question, Mateo. That Brujak met with commissioners individually before going into the meeting to vote. Is that illegal? It's not mine. Remember, I'm not a lawyer. It would not be my interpretation that that would be illegal. It's probably not a good practice because it looks like a walking quorum. But think about it in these terms. If you as a citizen are having a problem, and I know I did this, whenever I was applying to get on a city board back in the day and I didn't know most of the people on the commission, I would send an email to every single one of them. But whether I had gone to knock on their door or called each of them directly or emailed them directly, and it's just like we do with our legislators. We write letters to our congressmen, we call our senators. We're allowed to reach out to the legislature and to the people who legislate and make the laws and make the rules. So I don't know that that breaks the law. I don't believe it does.
No, I don't think it's illegal.
Right.
I think maybe a little bit on the unethical. But again,
Where something may be illegal is if in one-on-one meetings, false information is being given to commissioners to get them to vote a certain way. And if someone's knowingly giving false information, and if there's any benefit to that individual who's giving the false information, then there could be some legal implications there.
and that's where we get the proverbial dangling carrot.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, where a lot of, because let me tell you, one of the things that we dealt with back in the day, way before your time, or you might have been on some boards, was the Fly Frontera thing. And the Fly Frontera thing was, exactly the same thing. It was just numbers. And, you had these individuals that were making all these promises to different individuals. And you had sitting commissioners, going to PUB and asking them for money for this project, this that was going to make them money. Fortunately, it didn't go through,
Mhm.
and unfortunately for us, that was peanuts compared to Tenasca.
Mhm.
Peanuts, and I think, and I've said this, and I know that you've been on when I've said it. My concern is that they are becoming more brazen, more descarados, and because we went from 28 million, 25 million for the bridge to nowhere. We went to 53 million for the Performing Arts Center, 50 million for the sports park, 118, and I'm still going to stick to 135 million with Tenasca. I mean, are they just getting bolder and bolder and bolder as time goes on?
I don't think they're any more bold. I think they act when I think corrupt individuals act when they see there's an opportunity to act.
So
But
you,
by that
you,
same token, let me say this. Think about it in these terms. The best way to avoid stuff like this is to have good people in office. Most good people would never run because it is a nightmare. And I can tell you, just like with me, for example, and I've heard you say this before at Asmo, who is fighting for us? Well, let me tell you, I'm one of the people who's been out there fighting for you all. But I'm also one of the people that you say, Commissioner de los Santos is making money off the arena. Commissioner de los Santos is part of the problem. So if I'm getting vilified at the same time, and people have asked me, so you're running for reelection, right? I'm like, honestly, I don't know. Would I want to do this for another 4 years? Seriously? I don't know at this point. I really don't. But when people are saying who's fighting for us, I'm one of the people who's out there fighting for you all. I really am. But
well,
I get vilified regularly by so many people and come at me with a fact, but 99% of the time it's a lie.
well, I'm going to stick with Commissioner La Chanclas as long as I can.
Thank you. Go back to that last comment. I want to see what that was
Uh,
because we know who that was.
Commissioner, would you respect any decision our Ethics Advisory Commission would make? Do you take anything away from the PUB audit that you would change to do better representative of the for the majority?
Uh, See that this is like a double-edged sword on this question.
Yeah.
I respect decisions of anybody, Ethics Advisory Commission or anyone else, that are well-founded decisions. But I can't say that anybody's infallible. That would be like saying, would you respect any decision that the PUB board of directors make when they're supposed to be independent of the city commission? Well, look at where we're at right now. So it would be just like with anything else. I would trust, but I would verify. And if in my determination that decision is not rooted in what's in the best interest and was not reached through rational conclusion, but either irrationality or any type of corrupt information, then I can't say I would respect those decisions. It would really depend on what the evidence was to support or refute any decision that was reached and whether or not the folks in the position to make those decisions reached a conclusion that I think is reasonable. As far as do I take anything away from the audit that I would change to be a better representative for the majority? No, I think the audit has reaffirmed that the way I have been operating is exactly how one should operate. Trust but verify. Don't just look at what's on that screen and vote based on that. Read the information ahead of time, do your own investigation, do your homework, and be prepared because like a person in my position, I'm trusted by a lot of citizens to be doing the right thing when I'm up there. And I've got to do my homework to be able to do it right. I can't just go in and, like you guys see the presentation that comes out 72 hours before the meeting. I can't just look at that presentation and make decisions based solely on that. I've got a question. I've got to ask for more.
I'm sorry, and oh my God, we're not going to get through all the comments. This,
Yeah, but let's tackle the fun ones.
uh, I don't. I don't even want to do that, and not for not for anything, guys. And I apologize, but I've never Maggie wise beyond her years. Sometimes wise beyond her years.
Whatever.
I think Maggie proved her wisdom last night when she would not get into a bet to wear an Abbott shirt. Very wise, very wise, very wise.
Sandra
I'm afraid. I'm afraid.
Sandra
Wearing the shirt. Sorry, go ahead.
Sandra over Erasmo. That's fine. Look, you could eat Sandra all you want. Erasmo Castro has not been commingling with Tony Martinez, previous mayors, or anybody else, and is not buddies with any of these corrupt individuals that continue to want to take from you, from your children, from your grandparents, and everybody else. Libra. So more power to you. You could like Sandra all you want. I don't give a right span. I don't dislike Sandra. I think someone made mention, oh, because Sandra's a great person. Look, I don't dislike them. I dislike the fact that they have this close relationship with the former mayor who tried to rip us off blind. That's my thing. The same thing with
And I think the difference, and here's a good contrast between you and me, Erasmo, is you see these relationships, and so you don't have confidence that these people are going to do the right thing.
Mm-mm.
As where I'm more of, I see the majority over there, and I have every confidence they will do the right thing. If they don't, then as city commissioner, I'm going to make sure that we act to take corrective action. But
Uh,
I have confidence that they will do what they were appointed to do, that the majority will ensure that the right thing is done.
well, we'll see.
But
We'll see.
trust and verify.
Trust but verify.
We'll
Yes,
see. I
absolutely.
am still skeptical in regard again and again.
Skepticism is healthy.
We can agree to disagree. I'm still
Mhm.
skeptical that these individuals are going to do the right thing because of the relationship that they have with the previous mayor. I'm praying. And look, Commissioner, I want to be proven wrong. I God, as God is my witness, I wish I'd been proven wrong about Tanasca. I wish I had been proven wrong in
Mhm.
regards to Tony Martinez. I wish I had been proven wrong against, in regards to Buzek. Really do, because at the end of the day, as much as and the mayor and I have had fights about this, I want what's best for Brownsville. I mean, if you succeed in Brownsville, I succeed in Brownsville. I'd be a fool to want you to fail. I'd be a fool because ultimately you're going to make some of the decisions that are going to impact my life and my family's life. I'd be an idiot. And no, we don't want bad things for Brownsville. We want great things for Brownsville. We want Brownsville to prosper. We want Brownsville to grow. We want Brownsville not to be taken advantage of anymore.
That's true, but remember what success is judged differently by different people. You could do something that is great for Brownsville, and there would still be a segment of the population out there that would say it was horrible, and that would say it was bad.
Real quick, they were asking me who the name of the PUB board members were.
I
Sandra Sines, Sandra Langley, Trey Mendez, Jude Benavides, Art Rendon, Pat Sampaio,
Patricio Sampaio.
Patricio Sampaio, and the new one is Holman. I forget his first name.
Yeah, he's a good-looking one.
The seven.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know why they were asking me, but thank you.
Guys, I apologize. We've been here for an hour and a half, and I know Commissioner Santos likes to go for 2-3 hours.
Minimum.
I do 3 minutes.
You've said it before. The thing is that you really are behind on the comments. Like seriously.
Gee, thanks, Maggie.
We want to take people's comments because if they've got comments, I want to, and I've always said that I will address anyone's comments, anyone's questions.
Well, Commissioner Santos agrees to come back.
Are you going to save all the comments for that show?
Yeah, and we'll do just comments, guys. Let's do that. Next time Commissioner Santos on, we'll just do comments. But and let me say this: look, guys, I've been very critical about Commissioner Santos, and I'm critical about everyone. Guys, please let's be a little bit on the respectful side.
And let me ask also, Erasmo, the stuff that I sent you today, did you have any idea that was out there?
No.
Exactly. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to reach out. I want you to see that
And
no
I
matter
appreciate
what people say about me, I'm exactly who I said I was when I campaigned.
Yeah.
I am going to be the one, and I'm not going to say I'm the most ethical person on the commission. I will say there's nobody who excels beyond where I am at when it comes to ethics. I am definitely among the top when it comes to being the most ethical on the commission, and I'm very proud of that, and I'm going to continue to do that. And even like you guys, were very critical of me sometimes. I like the skepticism, but I'm still going to come to you because you have a right to have your questions answered.
Good. And again, guys, we're going to ask Commissioner Santos to come back whenever he wants, but anytime he wants. But especially next week, maybe after the Tuesday meeting, and maybe we'll just do comments, guys. But please be respectful. Again, you could ask all the questions you want, guys. Just don't go into the derogatory. I mean, we've got him on. He's answering questions, and please, let's take into consideration. And you could ask any questions you want. He's already stated he'll answer anything. Just let's stay to the. There's got to be these Erasmo Castro ways of asking the question, and still trying to stick it to him. Because he just admitted he wasn't the most ethical person out there. You heard it here first.
Hang on.
I like the way you took that.
I like the way. Hang on. Now I've got to do this one. Sorry, John White. No. And then I know this has got to be John White. No. I was just like sitting here all of a sudden like, he's blaming you, Mr. De Los Santos. Who Erasmo was blaming you? Is that part what that maybe? And this one, vote Republican in November, stop being lied to by the Democrats. I'm gonna go maybe on this one because I am like Erasmo. I try and look at the person rather than the party. So I don't necessarily say um
Republican, Democrat.
yeah, I don't. It's either one or the other.
Yeah.
You and Del Santos stay and deal with the comments. Yeah, no, I got a 17-year-old that I need to make sure gets to bed soon. So
The question that someone sent in me because they want their question answered, and it's up there somewhere. And I apologize, I didn't get to all the questions. To be on the PUB board, do you have to be a PUB customer?
I don't believe so.
or a city.
And you shouldn't have to be a PUB customer, is my opinion, and let me tell you why. Because PUB is owned by the citizens of Brownsville, and not every citizen of Brownsville lives in a territory where you've got to have PUB. And that should preclude you, since this is an asset of yours as a citizen and a taxpayer, you should have every right to sit on that board, even if you're not required to have that service.
Well, I would say that at least be a Brownsville resident to be on the board.
Well, no, yeah, be a Brownsville resident, yes, but that you have to be a PUB customer, no.
Yeah, because like
Requirement.
um Frankie is a Brownsville resident, but he doesn't have PUB, right? I think Frankie said that.
Yeah.
So okay, because I don't. I live right outside Brownsville city limits, and I don't have PUB. My parents do, so that's why it does worry me because they are on a very limited income.
Yep.
But I can see that, and I'm trying to figure out who lives where and who gets what services is also.
It's because as we annexed more territory over the years, those areas already had different providers. And as I understand it, for areas like that, if they ever switch to PUB, then they would not be able to leave PUB. But as long as they're not PUB customers, since they weren't at the beginning, they can stay on the free market.
Okay,
That's my understanding.
thank you.
Guys, I appreciate. Thanks for coming down, Commissioner Santos, and we'll have you on next week to answer just comments. And I'll promise, guys, to be quiet. And Maggie will promise not
I'll
to.
get my calendar and I'll send you dates. That way we can
Yeah.
promote.
Perfect, guys. Have a great day. Social distance, face covering, hand sanitizer. And again, I apologize. It's not anyone's fault. It's my fault. It's my fault. I should have been quicker on the comments, but there's a lot of information out there, and I appreciate Commissioner Santos coming on and sharing information with us. Guys, let's be appreciative of that.
I think
The only-
Monday.
Monday.
I think Monday looks good because the special meeting that night should be short.
I get that a lot too.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
bring this one
Monday
up.
or Tuesday. Monday or Tuesday are good, whichever works better for you two. I would like Maggie back with us.
Let's do both.
I don't know why, but okay. This one real quick. Does PUB still provide everybody's water?
Not everyone's. It's the same thing like with the electric. There were areas that were other providers when they were annexed into Brownsville, so they're not required to switch over. So I think there's still folks out there that have a different water provider.
And the reason why I ask is because we don't have PUB for electricity, but we do have PUB for water.
Remember that there's a one over here by San Pedro, by Military Highway. It's I think it's the Magic Valley water or that crappy water, that orange water that comes out to that other company up in.
No, Magic Valley's electric.
No, that other one. What's that called? That water company over there by San Pedro.
The Military Highway water supply?
Yeah.
Okay.
You remember the name of that one? Isn't it Magic Valley Water? También?
I don't think Magic Valley has water. I
And
think
have water supply? Someone saying.
It's some water supply from that area that produces that crappy orange water. El Jardín water supply. Thank you.
okay.
Now you're quick, Maggie.
No, I'm because they happen to pop up right now.
Yeah, thank you, Baba. Appreciate you guys. Have a great evening. Again, we'll be back early. Well, we'll be back tomorrow morning, but we'll have Commissioner Santos next week to see what's going on, guys. Have a great evening. It's 10:30. We got to get home. Guys, be good to each other. Continue to be good to me. God bless.